Hey guys, I'm back for season 3 and I want to share a rogue build today with you. So, there have been new patch notes that came out last Friday, and I will also make a separate video for that where I share my opinion about the changes for the rogue class and kind of the state of the rogue in this next season. But today I'd like to start with a new rogue build that I have brainstormed immediately after the patch notes came out, and yeah, I want to share with you some ideas with you and my kind of theory crafting for this rogue season. So this season it seems that rogue goes more into this range direction because they have reworked the precision passive, for example, which is much stronger now. So I would like to start with a Shadow Imbuement Penshot rogue, or to be more precise, again, it's a mix of Penshot and Rapid Fire rogue. So Rapid Fire is for single target damage, especially versus bosses, while Penetrating Shot is for our AoE damage, basically the dungeon damage. So especially in the challenge rifts, so in the gauntlets, or how they are called officially, the leaderboard dungeons, it's all about speed and fast killing stuff. So yeah, I think Penshot is quite a good choice for that. And yeah, also I would like to play with Shadow Imbuement, and the reason for that, yeah, I will just explain to you in the next few minutes. So Shadow Imbuement. One reason why I want to play with Shadow Imbuement is that there is this new legendary aspect here, which is called Resistant, a silent aspect. So it says Breaking Concealment grants you resistance and max resistance, but also the second part is more interesting for me. So killing an elite enemy reduces Concealment's cooldown by up to 10 seconds. So Concealment is this skill here. It has a pretty long cooldown of 20 seconds, so that's why getting 10 seconds cooldown reduction after killing an elite enemy is quite helpful for the skill. And with Concealment you basically gain stealth for 5 seconds, you gain additional movement speed, and you also become unstoppable. And this skill has some further synergies with Shadow Imbuement and also some other stuff. So first of all, getting unstoppable is very helpful if we play with T-Bot's Will. So even though they will fix this bugged item in this next season, so it won't give us 23 combo points anymore, which was allowing the rogue class to shine in the last season, and it was dealing about 7 times more damage than it should be dealing. It's still a quite good item for rogue because we get this 1.4 multiplier. Like I mentioned in the gauntlet dungeons, everything is about killing and movement speed, so damage and movement speed. So that's why I think this 40% damage multiplier is still pretty good. And yeah, so this is one synergy already with Unstoppable. So if we can spam our Concealment, we can also always activate or keep our Thibault's Will procced and active. And another reason is this Night Stalker glyph here that we have for the rogue class available from season 2. I think nobody really played with this glyph so far, because it says entering stealth reduces the active cooldown of Shadow Imbuement by 4 seconds, and we just didn't have really good synergies with stealth before. But now with this new defensive aspect here in season 3, we can spam Concealment much more often, and this way we can also benefit from this Night Stalker glyph. And so every time we enter stealth, we gain this 4 seconds cooldown reduction for Shadow Imbuement. So this is the little combination that I had in mind for this season for Shadow Imbuement and Concealment. So here you can see the rest of my skill bar. I would like to play with Dash, because it gives me a lot of movement, which is pretty relevant. So we're playing with Dash and Concealment as kind of utility skills. And then Shadow Imbuement and the rest are our marksman skills for damage. Then we have some more combinations and synergies with Shadow Imbuement in this build. So first of all, I would also like to play with Godslayer Crown. I also won't do too many Durials this season because it's just not fun for me to do Durial over and over again, and they didn't change the system with Uber Unique, so you can still drop multiple copies of the same Uber Unique, and that's something I don't like, so I won't farm my Shaco. If it will drop, then obviously I will maybe consider wearing it, but I think this build will also work pretty good without the Shaco, because the Godslayer Crown is a pretty good item in my opinion, especially if you're going for speed farming and don't care too much about survivability. Then you get this huge 1.6, so 60% equals 1.6 damage multiplier when you stun, freeze or immobilize an elite, and you will also pull in nearby enemies, and this is also pretty huge for speed farming. So obviously we need to trigger this by either stunning or freezing, so I will talk about that in a minute. But also to mention some further synergies, we also have Frigid Finesse, so we deal 1.6 more damage against frozen enemies. So again, you can see here we have a pattern, we want to freeze enemies for this huge multipliers. And also they have buffed this aspect, Icy Alchemist aspect, and before it was a little bit more clunky and kind of useless, but now you have a 75% lucky chance to release an explosion that deals damage. And here I will talk in a minute about how much damage you can expect from it, but also now it says that if you have already chilled or frozen enemies, then you will increase this damage by 100%, so actually by the factor 2. And here you can see this is the damage that you can expect from this aspect wearing on your amulet, and then if you multiply it by a factor 2, this will mean you will have around 10k flat damage, which will then further be increased by all your multipliers, so also by Frigid Finesse or Godslayer Crown. So if this is not bugged, then this 10k damage will further be benefiting from your other multipliers in the game. So I think this is pretty good value, so I think it's worth at least trying out this aspect on your amulet for once and see if it really works and deals a lot of damage. This also deals further AoE damage. So we have the AoE damage from Shadow Imbuement, we have AoE damage from Penetrating Shot, and AoE damage from Icy Alchemist aspect. So I think this is a pretty huge AoE rogue build if everything works out. So yeah, and now the question, how do we freeze our enemies? So we need to freeze to get a lot of this benefits here. One way to do it is by Frostbitten Aspect. So Frostbitten Aspect says if you have chilled your enemies already with some skill or ability, then hitting with grenade skills have a chance, which is pretty high, and basically if you're playing for critical strike chance, this goes up to 100%. So you have a 100% chance in this build to freeze enemies. So you need to get your enemies chilled, and you need to hit them by your grenade skills. So you could, for example, just use something like Smoke Grenade on your skill bar. But what I was thinking is you could also use Aspect of Quickening Fog. In this way, your dash will automatically drop a Smoke Grenade. So since we don't have space for Smoke Grenade in this build, we can play with Quickening Fog, so our dash skill will always drop this Smoke Grenade. And this will also give you additional 25% damage, multiplicative damage to enemies hit by Smoke Grenade. So we get a lot of damage here through Smoke Grenade itself, and then this will, if it works, I'm not sure if this will work, so we need to try it out. And if it works, then it will also proc your Frostbitten Aspect, since it will count as a grenade skill. So this is the idea here. And so how do we chill our enemies? In the previous seasons, I always used something like how it's called, this unique boots that allow us to chill enemies around us, Penitent Greaves. But this season I won't use them. So here I can also show you my planner. D4 builds is the only planner right now which gives you also this construct stones, so that's why I use it for this video. And here I don't want to go for Penshot Greaves because I don't have space for them. I just need more space for my aspects. And for this reason I went for another direction here. So here I would like to introduce and combine this new, how it's called, I'm not sure. So your minion, your construct minion, your spider, who has gives you some abilities, and I would like to use these abilities to chill my enemies. And how it works is you basically choose one skill. We need to test all of the skills. We can't say right now in Theorycrafting which will be the best one, but here I just took, for example, Lightning Bolt, because I just need a skill that hits as many enemies as possible, so I don't care about the damage that much. I'm not sure if the damage of the pet will be really huge or not, but all I'm caring about right now is that I'm hitting a lot of enemies at once. And so Lightning Bolt, for example, launches this bolt of lightning at target damage, target, and then also other targets are getting some portion of this original lightning bolt. So I think this is a pretty good AoE ability, maybe, so we need to test it. And then you can also increase it by, for example, playing with arcing support, so then the skill can hit 10 additional enemies. So how, as I understand it, is you will now launch like 10 lightning bolts at once, and each of these lightning bolts then can still further reach other targets and damage other targets. So this will lead into a huge chain reaction of lightning bolts hitting the entire screen if it works out. And then you can benefit from this frigid support here. So then a portion of the skill damage will be chilling damage. So here you can already see with this support of our pet, we can pretty easily chill the entire screen if we choose the right skill and combine it with some nice supporting stones. And here also I can put in this efficiency support, which will give me additional 15% critical strike chance against the hit enemies. So this way I can chill the enemies if everything works out again. And so we have this chill, the chill factor we need for Frostbitten. We have the grenade skill from Quickening Fog, and this combination together will actually freeze enemies and then trigger all of this interactions that we have here. And just to mention my other abilities, I was going here for Reconstruct. So this one is healing me for a portion of my maximum life, and then I would place something like Tactical Support for decreased cooldown, Safeguard Support for additional damage reduction, so I'm going quite defensively here, and then I can play with this new Evernight, or like with the unique Evernight skill, which is basically the Shaco, granting me +4 to all skills for 2 seconds. So this is the first idea I have for the pet in Season 3. So like I mentioned, we need to test this out. It's pretty hard to getting this right in Theorycraft, but this is the basic idea. And even if this doesn't work with all this Frostbitten aspect, Quickening Fog combination, and if it's just too clunky or something, we still have a kind of plan B. So we could also play with Opportunist aspect. And this says when you break stealth with an attack, you drop a cluster of stun grenades. So for example, since we are using concealment a lot of this build, we could also rely on this aspect here to stun enemies. And this way we also will pull them together with the Godslike Crown by stunning them instead of freezing. But it's of course worse than freezing, because then we still won't have access to this Frigid Finesse 1.6 multiplier, for example, which is still pretty huge. And also Icy Alchemist aspect maybe is a little bit worse. So this is a kind of the plan B here, but I'm pretty sure that this whole thing here will actually work, but yeah, we'll see. So this is the basic synergy that I have brainstormed so far for Shadow Imbuement and Concealment and Penetrating Shot. Then we can also take a look at the rest of some gears. So I will play with Condemnation and combo points. So in Season 3 we won't have 23 combo points anymore, only 3. This will feel very, weak compared to the last season. I will tell you more about this topic in the patch note video, I think, where it belongs to. But yeah, I will play with Condemnation and still benefit from this 1.4 damage multiplier from Condemnation. Then I will play with the new Sky Hunter. So this one got also adjusted in the patch notes. So instead of damage to distant enemies, it will deal crit damage. I think around 50%, that's what I assume. And also they have doubled up this critical strike damage here. So basically it's also multiplied by 2, by 100%. So yeah, it's pretty huge now, so it gives you more than, I think, 100% critical strike damage on this item slot. And also they reworked this effect here, and basically you deal, your skills deal 30% more damage when using a when consuming this precision from critical striking, and you gain also still this 40 energy. And here they reworked precision. So now it says that each marksman skill can grant you 1 or 2 stacks of precision. So if you have critical struck, then it's 2. So in this build we are focusing on critical strike chance and critical strike damage. So we will critical strike a lot. So actually the idea is here that you cast around 3 punctures. So you benefit from Condemnation. After 3 punctures, you should anyways have your combo points at full level. And also after 3 punctures, you should have 6 stacks if you critical strike all the time. And then your core, your next marksman's core or ultimate skill will be a guaranteed critical strike and deal 50% more damage. And this damage will also further be increased by 15% from your total critical strike damage bonus in your gear and paragon board. And I will show you in a minute how much damage you can expect from it. I have already calculated it, but here to show you some other aspects. So we are still playing with accelerating aspect and aspect of elements. So I think they didn't fix the snapshotting bug in this season, so if you really want to go for leaderboards in the gauntlet dungeons, I think it's still a pretty valid strategy to snapshot accelerating and aspect of elements. Then you will benefit from a 1.6 multiplied damage and 1.45 multiplied attack speed. By the way, we are not playing with Ravenous this season, so attack speed will feel very slow and clunky again after this vampire season where we had reached our capped out 200% attack speed bonus and so on. I think this season you will really feel how slow you are, and you really need something like this snapshotted accelerating aspect to have much higher attack speed. And then trickshot aspect. Since we're playing with penetrating shot, of course, we want to have this trickshot aspect, which will deal additional side arrows, split off side arrows. And here I am not sure how much damage you can expect from this actually, because in the patch notes they also maybe buffed the penetrating shot. So previously it was saying that penetrating shot deals 10% increased damage per enemy it pierces, and now they changed it to hits. So how I understand it is that even with trickshot aspect, if you hit enemies from your side arrows, which only deals like 25% of your original base damage of penetrating shot, these enemies that you hit will also count for the total damage amount that your penetrating shot cast will deal. So maybe it works that it calculates first, it like sums up how many enemies you hit with one cast of penetrating shot, and then like if you hit 20 enemies at once, you will deal 20 times 10% more damage, so 200% more damage for all enemies basically. So this is how I understand it, but I'm not sure if this is true or not, and it again might be bugged and wrong because Blizzard always messes these things up in the previous seasons. But maybe we can expect a huge buff to trick shot aspect and penetrating shot, and this way we will deal much more damage than before with this aspect here and with the new enhanced penetrating shot. And now let's talk a bit about math in the end of this video. So precision, like I mentioned, was reworked, gives you now 50% increased damage and also 15% equal to your critical strike damage bonus in general. So there are two ways how this can work. So first of all, I have calculated how much critical strike damage bonus we can accumulate in this season from our gear and Paragon board. So I think we can reach around 666% critical strike damage. So this is a pretty nice number. Yeah, very funny, but actually this is exactly the number that I have calculated that I can reach with gear and Paragon. And this would mean 15% of this equals around 99.9, so equal around 100% additional damage bonus. And then there are two ways how I can interpret this. So either it says that you will first have this 50% damage bonus, so the first 50% from precision, and this will get multiplied by this new damage bonus here. So we need to multiply it by 1 plus this 99%. So this would be equal to 0.5 multiplied by 2. So it equals to 1, meaning 100%, or factor 2. So if you calculate it this way, this means with 666% critical strike damage bonus, you will have basically double damage with your marksman skill, core skill or ultimate skill when precision is procced. So yeah, 100% increased damage. And this is like the bad case scenario. And the second case would be that it means we first apply this 50% damage increase. So we multiply our damage by 1.5 first. And after this multiplicative factor is procced, we multiply the damage again by the second factor of this 99.9%. So then the calculation would be 1.5 multiplied by around 2. And this would be equal to 200% or the factor of 3. So in this case, we would deal 3 times the damage instead of 2 times the damage. So this would be the better case, but yeah, it's hard to tell. It can be either way. We will find out on Tuesday. But basically, this is what you can expect in the late game. If you go completely full on critical strike damage, then you will either deal 2 times or 3 times more damage with your marksman skill, with precision strike, with the precision key passive. So yeah, it's more or less the same as with close quarters combat last season, but you do not have this attack speed bonus from close quarters combat, obviously. So yeah, we will see. But more of the state of the rogue class in this patch notes video that will also come out soon. But basically, this is the idea for the ranged rogue this season. Shadow imbuement, because this is a new build that wasn't really viable in the previous seasons, at least not for me. I always played with either cold or poison imbuement, but this season I will try out shadow imbuement for the reason I mentioned, for this new aspect here that came out and so on. So yeah, this is basically my idea. And I can also link you this D4 build planner in the description. I don't have any affixes on gear, and I don't have any Paragon points yet. So this is just a simple planner here for the beginning. But if you like, you can also check out this planner in the description. So yeah, this was the video for my Penshot Rogue for Season 3. Maybe it's a very good build. And maybe it's even one of the most powerful builds in the season. We will see. I hope you enjoyed this content so far, and just yeah, I wish you a nice day. Have a nice day, guys, and stay tuned for my next videos. There are a lot of videos to come in this season, so check it out. and like my content if you enjoyed. So thank you for watching and have a nice day. Bye bye.